The world's first nationwide football league, known as the Football League, was founded in 1888, although it wasn't particularly nationwide, with the 12 founding members being very focused in the North East and in the Midlands. I've previously done a video looking at those 12 founding members and where those clubs are now, should you be interested, but today's video is another suggested by one of our subscribers, taking a look at the first 7 Football League champions. Due to teams winning multiple titles, the first 7 Football League champions takes us 15 years into the life of the Football League, all the way up to the 1902-03 season. Without further ado then, I shall crack on. Here are the first 7 champions of England. Where are they now? Preston North End, the Championship. During the first ever Football League season, Preston North End didn't lose a single game. It was a record that wouldn't be matched for more than a century, and the fact that the Lilywhites went unbeaten in all competitions remains a record unmatched by any team in the English game to this day. Spearheaded by John Goodall, Preston romped to the league title and won the FA Cup, and they defended their league title successfully the following season. Preston haven't won a top-flight title since 1890, and they haven't played top-flight football at all since being relegated the season after Tom Finney's retirement. Now managed by Alex Neil in the Championship, Preston are in a fight to make the playoffs as we approach the back end of this season. Everton, the Premier League. Everton became the first side to dethrone Preston in the 3rd Football League season, finishing 2 points ahead of the Lancashire side. No team really grabbed the league by the scruff of its neck that season, and Everton won the title despite losing 7 of their 22 games. Their next league title arrived a quarter of a century later in 1915, with the Toffees enjoying their greatest periods of success in the 1930s and in the 1980s. Everton have competed in 116 seasons of top-flight football in England, which is more than any other club, missing out on just 4 top-flight campaigns since 1888. Now managed by Italian great Carlo Ancelotti, Everton are still in the Premier League, but they'll need a big effort to finish in a European spot this season. Sunderland, League One. Sunderland weren't one of the 12 founding members of the Football League, joining in 1890, but they became one of the dominant forces in the early era of the English game. The Black Cats won 3 league titles in the 1890s, aided by the goals of Scottish centre-forward John Campbell. Campbell became the first footballer to break the 30-goal mark in the Football League, and then did so in consecutive seasons as Sunderland won back-to-back league titles. Sunderland weren't relegated until 1958, and have largely flip-flopped between the first and second tiers ever since. The last few years have been rough for the club though, who currently find themselves in the 3rd tier for only the 2nd time in their history. Aston Villa, the Premier League. Anyone who watched my video looking at the best football team in each decade from the mid-1800s up to the present day will know what a fine side Aston Villa had in the 1890s. They won 5 league titles in 7 seasons between 1894 and 1900, with their own Scottish marksman named Johnny Campbell. Villa haven't enjoyed that kind of dominance in the many years since, but they did have an excellent team in the 1980s, which won both the First Division title and the European Cup. The Villains are now back in the top flight following a rare stint in the 2nd tier, but Dean Smith has a job on his hands keeping the club in the Premier League over these next couple of months. Sheffield United, the Premier League. Promoted along with Aston Villa from the Championship last season, despite Adrian Durham claiming on TalkSport that they were going to get fewer points than Huddersfield, Sheffield United are actually going into the end of this season with aspirations of playing European football next season. Chris Wilder has done a magnificent job at Bramall Lane, but the Blades still have a little way to go before they return to their heights of the 1897-98 campaign. That remains the only season in which the Yorkshiremen have won the First Division, and their club wasn't relegated until 1933. Since then, they've played in all 4 divisions of the Football League, but they look likely to record their best league finish since at least 1975 this season. Liverpool, the Premier League. The 2nd most successful club in the history of the Football League, Liverpool won the first of their 18 top-flight league titles in 1901, and they will win their 19th in 2020. The Reds won 2 league titles in the 1900s and 2 in the 1920s, but their real era of dominance came in the 1970s and 80s. That reign of excellence began to dwindle at the start of the 1990s as Liverpool began a lengthy trophy drought, at least in terms of the league title. They will finally end that long wait this season, doing so with what will most likely be the biggest points gap between 1st and 2nd place in the history of the top flight of English football. Sheffield Wednesday, the Championship. The final entrance in this 7, taking us up to the 15th season of the Football League, it was Sheffield United's Steel City rivals the Wednesday who lifted the trophy in 1902-03. They replicated that feat the following season by the narrowest of margins, making it back-to-back league titles. They renamed themselves Sheffield Wednesday from The Wednesday in 1929 and immediately made it back-to-back league titles for the second time. They haven't won a top flight title since then and are currently in free fall in the Championship, although they will avoid relegation unless they are handed a points deduction for the sale of their stadium this season. That's it for today's 7. Thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and obviously make sure you're subscribed to HITC Sevens. Also, if you're watching on mobile, just try tapping your screen now. Apparently that is sometimes required to bring up our little subscribe button and a couple of other videos that YouTube thinks you might enjoy.